following program deals with mature subject matter and is intended for adult audiences only. Liberals should seek advice before continuing.
You're listening to A Radio.
What truly matters is not which party controls our government, but whether our government is controlled by the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government, while the people have borne the cost. The establishment protected itself, but not the citizens of our country. That all changes starting right here, right now. Okay, here we go again. I want to play you yet another clip from LBC. Why do I keep playing these clips from the UK? Is it because I yearn to be back in the UK? No, it is not that at all. The reason I play these clips and will continue to play these clips is because none of our media in Canada are prepared to have this conversation. The latest clip you're going to hear is from an ordinary person just calling in and having a debate. There are several reasons why I want to play this particular clip, but the most important part to me is right at the end, when you can hear as plain as day what propaganda has achieved. You will hear someone quoting information which is verbatim from the mainstream media. It could have easily been from here. But unfortunately for this guy, in the nicest possible way, Majid Nawiz basically had all the information in front of him to debunk his argument. And that is the crux of the matter. Why cannot we have in this country an open, free debate without any animosity on either side, with a neutral moderator? That's going to be very difficult to find anywhere, but they are out there. As far as Canada is concerned, I would suggest somebody from outside this country. But we need to have this conversation. We need to have this public conversation. There are documents floating around, which I'm not going to go into at the moment, which I pray to God are not real. Because if they are real, this, unfortunately, will be the line in the sand. And that line will take us to a very, very dark place. You see, what we're not addressing here, when I mean here, I mean the court of open debate, is why we aren't hearing from our public officials. Why aren't we hearing from our MPs, our MPPs? Again, I'm going to keep hammering this because this is the crux of the matter. In the UK, you can speak to your MP. You can go and talk to them. In the United States, you can talk to your representative. You can meet with your representative. Here, in Canada, they're in bunkers behind plexiglass. Think about that. They are scared to meet you because they don't want to have a debate on their illogical decisions. And, quite honestly, their unconstitutional decisions. Trudeau is breaking our constitution. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. The police have failed us at every juncture. At every juncture. These bureaucrats all across our nation are cowering in their plexiglass bunkers, scheming and conniving in ways that they can lock us down more and more and more. When are you people going to realise this is not about a vaccine? It's nothing to do with a vaccine. The vaccine is purely a means to an end. Ladies and gentlemen, you are in 1984. This is George Orwell's 1984. The trouble is that there's only a few of us awake. More than these people realise, but still not enough. But there comes a time, and it's getting very, very close. We're at 11:59 and probably 57 seconds. People have to stand up, and people must have their voices heard. Because if they don't have their voices heard, then what do we have? Because it's not a democracy. Why are the politicians on Parliament Hill hiding behind that big, fancy screen that's been there a couple of years at least? What are they frightened of? Who are they scared of? Their own shadows? Trudeau? Soros? Davos? Fauci? The WHO? The UN? Do I need to go on? Oh, global corporations? These people are not representatives of you and me. And until people realise that they are no longer representing you and me, why is O'Toole not standing on the steps of Parliament? Why is O'Toole not standing on the steps of Parliament this morning and having a press conference and saying, we are the loyal opposition in Canada and we cannot, in all honesty, support what this government is doing. It's undemocratic and we do not support it. We will do all we can to stop it. And the first thing we're doing is having a press conference here this morning to warn all Canadians that the federal government of Canada is out of control, threatening provinces if they don't follow his edict. And none of the science makes sense. None of it. The PCR tests are set to 40 plus. They don't work above 20. Everybody knows that. And why are the vaccinated allowed to wander around as though nothing's going on, yet the unvaccinated, if they get COVID, have to be locked down? Because everybody knows that vaccinated people can still spread COVID. It's a bit like people who had the flu jab. Even though they've had the flu jab and they get flu, they can still spread flu. Oh, goodness. What did I just say then? Funny that. Don't remember hearing about flu again. So I want you to play this clip. And I want you to listen to it. And I want you to call your MPs and your MPPs. You'll probably get a Sector 7 droid, but just keep hammering away. And when it comes to the provincial elections, demand to see the real Member of Parliament, or whatever they call it in your province. Don't take the Sector 7 droid. And if the real member will not stand up, who's running for office, then don't vote for him. Vote for someone you can actually see in person. And if they try and lock us down so that we don't have the ability to debate with these people, then don't vote for them. Don't vote. Stay at home. Don't even mail-in vote. Don't vote. Don't vote. The best thing you can do is not to vote. Because if you don't vote, they can't win. Any of them. If they get a 1% turnout, they're screwed. We have the power. And if Trudeau carries on like this, we will have to do what we have to do. Because the police aren't doing their job. The RCMP are a complete waste of space. Lawyers in this country are utterly, completely corrupt. And judges are just in the pockets of the provincial and federal government. Doesn't leave a lot, does it, folks? The question is, what are you going to do about it? I'll tell you what you should do. Never mind what the weather is outside, you got to rise up and protest en masse. Never mind their mask mandates, never mind their 10 people outside nonsense. If there are 100,000 people, 500,000 people, 1 million people marching, they'll get the message. They'll get the message. Or you could just stay home and watch hockey and drink beer. That's if you're of age, of course. Really, at the end of the day, it's your choice. Because when they come after the unvaccinated and they cart them away and they're out of society and you're still getting COVID, who's going to protest then? Because you're going to be too scared to protest. People who have been vaccinated must stand with people who choose not to be vaccinated. It's not a question of whether you agree with them or not. It's a question of whether you believe they have the right to disagree. Because when you've had your 14th, 15th and so on jab, booster or whatever they call it this week, and you decide by doing your own investigation that it makes no sense, you have finally decided, I'm not doing this anymore because it's not doing anything, but I'm just being locked down. Even though I'm vaccinated, I have to have a QR code. For what? That's the key. Until you rebel, until the vaccinated people rebel and say, no more jabs, we're done. Open up our country, we're done. And if other countries won't let you go anywhere, that doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is you won't be locked up. You will be free. And you can tell them you don't want a QR code and you're not going to use it. You're not going to use it. And anybody who votes for a QR code must be removed from office. We do not want to be numbered, stamped, marked, indexed, or any other method of storage. We are human beings and we are free. Remember that. They work for us, not the other way round. Here's that clip.
It's very, very new.
Yeah, you're right.
It's never going to be perfect.
But what's the point you're making, David?
Well, if the vast majority of people that take the vaccinations will benefit from them, why would you try and encourage people not to have them?
Okay, have you heard me encourage people not to have them?
Well, I think you're promoting an agenda that's almost anti-government, saying that it's anti-democratic, it's this, that, and the other.
But I'll ask you again, respectfully. Have you heard me asking people not to take the vaccine?
Specifically, no.
Right. Now, can I ask you a question? Put to you a question that... as beneficial as peanuts are for you, you're aware that some people die from eating peanuts. Would you ever mandate peanuts in every meal in a restaurant for everybody and threaten to fire them if they don't eat them?
No, but I'm not suggesting that the government should insist on everybody having them. We have a government here that is offering the vaccine.
So forgive me. That's the topic of the last 2 hours. It's the mandates we're talking of because the health secretary has already mandated them for care workers and NHS.
Well,
and I'm asking that if you worked in the NHS and you know that with the thousands of people that work in the NHS, some of them, a tiny minority, may have peanut allergies that they die from, would you, if you were in charge of NHS England, mandate peanuts in every meal?
No, absolutely.
That's the topic of the hour. Then we're on the same page, David.
No, but in which case, I've completely misunderstood. Yeah. Because I've come into this conversation at 10 to 3 approximately.
No, that's perfectly fine, but that's why I want to talk to you about it, so I can clarify my views and your views, because I do believe when people talk to me without ad hominem and without insult, because a lot of people just insult me and they think I'm stupid and can't think, but that's fine because you're not doing that.
Best broadcasters. Well, I really enjoy your show.
And sir, you see that this conversation has led us to land on the same page. I'm double jabbed, David.
Me too.
Yeah, and all I'm asking is, that was my choice. I took that decision knowing the risks. And by the way, when I did it, I knew that something wasn't right. But I still did it because I'm a team player. I'm a team player. And when I say something wasn't right, I mean with big pharmaceutical companies and their profit making. But I'm a team player. But what I will never countenance in England, and I know Scotland and Wales have now done it, I'll say it again, I will never countenance this in England, and I'm sure millions will stand with me. If anyone wants to introduce mandates in England, what they're telling me is to accept that my children will never know what it feels like to have bodily autonomy and make a decision for themselves about any medical procedure unless the state tells them what they need to do. I can never accept that. I can never accept that, David. I don't know if you have children. I can never accept that. Are we on the same page now?
We're very much on the same page, but I think you've got to be very careful, you particularly, because you're a very powerful man with a huge audience, and I got the impression, rightly or wrongly, that what you were suggesting was almost seditious to create an uprising against the government.
Well, a democratic uprising, no, let me make that very clear for you. A democratic uprising against the government is perfectly legitimate. If people protest, if people exercise their democratic rights and their free speech rights to oppose this government, that if they would seek to implement mandates on us, then I'll say it absolutely clear. Civil liberties, human rights, the Universal Declaration on Bioethics and the Nuremberg Code prohibit mandated medical procedures against people's consent. And consent, by the way, as Article 6 in the Universal Declaration of Bioethics states very clearly, comes without any negative repercussions. If they do that, people have every natural and civil liberties-based right to uprise against this government in a peaceful, democratic and legitimate way, and I will stand with them.
So would I, under those circumstances. Yeah. But to encourage people not to have the vaccination, which is I think is a dangerous. It's dangerous.
Well, we've agreed that no one's done that on this show. What we have agreed is we've been talking about mandates. We both agree.
I can only apologise.
Yeah, no, don't apologise. I know people hear things because of this, the atmosphere. People hear what often, and it's a psychological phenomenon. It's not just you, and it's me as well. People hear sometimes what their fears are rather than what the person's saying, yeah? That's called being scared, and we all do it. And we're all scared at the moment.
Please say one more thing, please.
Please.
And the final thing is this, and as I've said, I'm not a medical person, but I do have contacts with one or two that we know. Yeah. And having spoken to them, my understanding is quite clear that people that are most seriously ill in ICU and those that are most likely dying or that are dying from COVID are the ones that are not vaccinated. And that's why surely it's so important.
No, David, that's not true. That's not true. We've had the ONS, in fact, they won. James Wells, a former head of the trade at the Office for National Statistics, complained about the ONS figure that 32 times more unvaccinated are dying than the vaccinated. And the ONS gave us a right to reply, but the Ombudsman of the UK Statistics Authority has now ruled in favour of the former head of trade at the ONS, James Wells. That statistic was manipulated, unfortunately.
In which case, we need those figures in the public domain.
Yeah, I posted it. Go on my feed, you'll see it there. I've posted it all.
That's got to be the critical issue.
Oh, sir, David, I can assure you I've posted all of this information on my Twitter feed and my Facebook feed. And in fact, there's also another former staff member at the Office for National Statistics who's also been commenting, and I've been retweeting him on a lot of the misinformation that's coming out. So what I do advise is if you're interested in the data and the research, after every show and also during the week, I post all of this with all the links and all the references, just so people can look for themselves. Because I don't want people to follow me. I want people, as I'm sure you understand as well, David, I want people to think for themselves and arrive at the correct answer, not Majid's answer. So I'm very transparent in everything I say. I post it all online for everybody to scrutinise, and I welcome scrutiny. The only thing I ask, and you didn't do it, so thank you, is I ask people not to ad hominem, not to attack me personally, or to focus on tone over content when I'm actually rightfully angry, because if Aboriginal communities' children are being forcibly jabbed, if you're not angry about that, what are you angry about on Earth? And so, I am angry, but when I speak to individuals who disagree with me, like when you called, I always respect the individual in front of me, even if they disagree. I try to, and I ask people to do the same.
I quite agree, if I have done to you, but thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, David.
Just a quick note. Please join Canada Unity December 5 through December 10. In Ottawa. Go to canada-unity.com for details. And don't forget to check out our new site for breaking news and events in Canada at warroomcanada.net. That's warroomcanada.net. We are the truth. You can find more at aradio.wordpress.com, where you can find links to us on all social media. We are also now on Getter, that's GETTR, at aradio. And our email address is aradiocanada @gmail.com. Please stay tuned. We hope to have some exciting news of a major new venture, and with your help, we can succeed in stopping these tyrants. So please stay tuned for that. We are continuing to reach out to you, so please pass these links on to your friends. Please click on the follow button on Spreaker.com. You can listen to all our morning moments at Spreaker.com/A radio. That's EHRADIO, A radio. And please click on the like button. Join us Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 11:45 Eastern, and tell your friends and pass the word. We only tell the truth, not what the mainstream media want you to know.